coaches. Heather, if you could bring Carlos Bastardo and Connor Jones up, that would be great. Carlos, look at that. What's that stand for? Aren't ready for Marine. I mean, hey, thanks for joining us this morning, man. Hope you're feeling better. Looks like you were based on your results yesterday. You know, Carlos, you've been doing this business for a year or two longer than I have. And, you know, but you've been doing this virtual thing for quite some time, not just on the life side, but you've been doing, you know, the Medicare and the health and all this other stuff for many years now. But your game has even been stepped up to another level these last couple of weeks, man. And it's been really fun to kind of watch you just hone your craft and get even better. And, you know, you weren't even feeling that great this week, and you've had an incredible week. But, man, just give us a couple of thoughts, Carlos, on what this call has done for you and your personal sales and momentum.
Oh, geez, Mike, I'll try to stay on a track, man, because there's so many different tangents and things I can say and go off on, because I'm just excited as hell about what's going on. And I tell you what, I mean this, I don't think I've ever had more fun in this business than I'm having right now. We're creating a whole new level of competition in the office, and things seem to be coming together at the right time. And, you know, and it's just a testament to sometimes when you think, you know, things aren't moving the way I want them in my life. Things aren't going the way I want them to, you know, God's got a deaf ear on me, or he's turned his back to me. But you know what? It's just a huge believer and testament that God reveals things in his time when it's right for you. And now that we have this opportunity, it's like all of a sudden the people that probably would not have made it in this business 2 months ago because we didn't have this program, now all of a sudden they're coming into this business, seeing the opportunity, and I'm like, yeah, we're texting people, man. We didn't even call people. Oh. And, you know, my son, Gabe was with us back in the old days, Final Expense, with out there grinding, beating on doors. Nick Burns knows what we're talking about, right? Beating on the doors and going in homes that I swear I had to pray to Jesus 4 times after I left and take 3 showers. I mean, it was rough, man. We were grinding. And, you know, if we had a $5,000 week in Final Expense, we were screaming from the mountaintops. That was a great week. You know, so now with the way, what I'm telling everybody is we have flipped this whole industry on its head right now for the good, right? We have flipped this whole industry upside down. Anything that everybody has ever thought they've known about this industry, right? If you're not changing with it, you're going to get left behind. And I'm so glad I'm ridiculously teachable even at my old age, right? You can teach an old dog new tricks, because I've been listening to these guys. I mean, to be able to ride along with a Nick Burns and a Connor Jones and Noel and some of these big hitters out there that are making it happen, you know, yeah, I'll be honest, I steal a lot of y'all's stuff. You know, I integrate it with what I do. It just really helps what I'm doing now and the way I've been successful get even better, right? So I'm going to tell you this, after 28 years in the business, coming up on 29 soon, I'm still learning. I'm still teachable. If you ever think you got this business figured out and you're not willing to jump on a call, but I don't need to be trained every morning, man, you're cutting off vital extremities on your body, literally. You will bleed out over time because you're going to be alone in this business, right? You're going to be left behind the curve. You're going to see your peers starting to perform at fantastic levels, and you're going to be going, why? And we're going to be going, we told you why. You got to plug into the system, man, right? How hard is it to jump on a call in the mornings for 45 minutes, get your cup filled? If anything, you're getting your cup filled. I don't care if you're hearing stuff you heard 10,000 times. It don't matter. And I'll be honest, I'm one of the first ones. When we first started having these things, they're like, all the managers got to be, I'm like, here we go, more coaching calls, right? And it happens. We're human. I thought it, but then I got the devil out of my head, and I said, I'm going to jump on, be part of it. Now I look forward. I can't wait to get on the calls, you know, because we just learned so much. It's a motivation every day. And here's a big thing, and I love that Nick brought this up the other day. It's an accountability tool as well, because now we can keep all each other in check, right? We are all exposed and we're being revealed. So if you are not putting in the time, you're not putting in the grind. I like that. You're not putting in the time and you're not putting in the grind. You're not going to have a good time, right? So, man, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of this team. And, I never really thought I could impact people in a certain way. And it's been really nice to get some private messages from people saying, man, thanks for sharing what you did. It really changed and helped me make some closes and stuff like that. Man, that's awesome, and I don't put myself up here for that. I'm just saying it's a humbling experience to have people reach out to you and say thanks. And it just really makes you think, wow, I'm helping to make a difference along with the other coaches to people that are learning this business and struggling. So I'll cut it off there for now.
Well, hey, thanks for sharing that with us, Carlos. And I just want to make a couple of comments on that. And I want to jump over to Connor here for a second. Look, I mean, you're the epitome of humble, right? It's just like for you to be, and look, I'm going to say this jokingly, but in all seriousness, right? I mean, you've been in this business 3 decades. You've literally been in the business longer than Connor's been alive. Seriously. And then we've got this young 22-year-old that's making an insane amount of income, more than most humans on earth, because of his tenacity and work ethic. And for you to be able, literally, the way that you built this business from the ground up, cold calls, knocking on doors, the old school way, I wouldn't have it in me to build the business the way, I'm just being honest. I would not have it in me. I'm not saying I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would not do what you did to get to where you're at. And so that's a huge testament. But that exactly what we were talking about earlier, that there's not one way to skin a cat, right? There's different ways to do things. Things change. And that's when dinosaurs become dinosaurs, is that when they refuse to change with the time. And what I saw this week, how incredible, here's my word, how incredible is it, Carlos, that your entire family, literally your entire family can work together, right? You and Deborah, Mercedes and Christian and Gabe, and everybody can come together and do this, and you can build something for the family is one, but not do it by yourself. Do it with the huge family of the other 400 people we've got on this call today. And then Connor, I can't say enough about you. I've got so much respect for you. There's not many 22-year-olds that I can call a very close personal friend. And you're someone I've got a lot of respect for, someone I've looked up to. And I got to be honest, when COVID hit, man, my respect for you went through the roof when you decided to commit to this process to figure this out. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of lives changed because of your courage to put this together. But Connor, how cool is it that this has become something so different than what was originally created, because so many other people have come into it? When we get all these collective minds together, the old cliche, a rising tide raises all ships, it really is a lot of truth to that. The reason this system has taken shape like it has been because of the quality of people we've been able to attract. And that's been because of the quality coaching, that a 22-year-old has humbled himself to be able to do. Most 22-year-olds in your situation, their ego would be so huge. So thank you for being who you are. But before we jump into the questions today, man, I just want to kind of toss it over to you and get some thoughts from you this morning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, good morning, everybody. When Mike had asked me to be on, I was always fired up. I love being on this call every morning. You guys just remember, I look back when I got started, talking about how long Carlos has been in the business. It's been 4.5 years for me, and we never had anything like this. We never did. Even when Equus started and we had more training than almost anybody out there, we never had something like this. It was, a very lonesome business. That's the reason why, we were always trying to get together with people, have meetings, just so we could get around people, just because it was a very lonely business. Driving 2-3 hours to appointments, driving home late at night, it was lonely. And it was worth it, though. And still, to the face-to-face agents, I have a ton of respect for you. But everyone on this call, you have, again, the accountability in the morning, but all you have to do is plug in and listen. And that's something for me. I just always wanted direction. I still take notes from Nick and Noel and Carlos and everybody on the call every day. But you guys are able to jump on every morning and you have coaches saying, hey, here's the play for the day. Here's how to make this happen, right? Hey, texting works better than calling now. Or, hey, this way to close is going to work out better. Get them on video like this. They're calling the play and all you have to do is listen. And I have to tell you guys, we're in a position now with our call. If you can't make it with our systems we have now in place, you have an issue with authority and coaching is what the issue is. Because if you just step back and go, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm going to shed all of my ego. I'm going to do exactly what is told of me, right? Do exactly what we talked about. I mean, it's crazy to see where you'll be in the next 90 to 120 days. And that would be my recommendation to all of you is, like, when you hear Nick Burns say something, carve it in stone. When you hear Mike Hall say something, carve it in stone. Carlos, carve it in stone. And you'll realize soon that you mash together your business and your sales process through different pieces from different people, and it turns into gold. So just continue being on the call, you guys, and making sure, again, when people say things, they're not recommendations, it's concrete, okay? And you have to treat your business like that when you're learning from such incredible leaders. So, but excited to be on today, excited to answer some questions.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Hey, let's do this. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because I'm not Mr. Rumbo, so we're going to go in a little bit of a different order. But Heather, if we can just go ahead and just bring Nick and I up for a couple of minutes. Let's just kind of talk about transitioning into the app and kind of going through that process, and then we'll bring our coaches back up and we'll cover some questions there. But Nick, so yesterday we were kind of talking about we had talked about 2 days ago, we went through the needs analysis form. Yesterday we talked about the importance of just having 3 options and how most people typically choose that middle option, and how if we give them just one, it's not going to be enough. They're going to need to think about it. If we give them 10, it's going to be too many. They're going to need to think about it, right? So now that we've shown them the options and they've selected it, you know, maybe if you can just talk about how do you transition into the application? How do you ask for the banking account information? And when you get to that, if they've got to think about it, how do we cover that?
Okay. Yeah. So great points. You know, those are, you know, stumbling blocks along the way, you know, if you're new in the business. The bank account information, you don't ever ask. You don't ever ask for the bank account information. You do that at the end, and you do it all based on how the application flows. All right. So the last thing you do on the application is what? The bank account information. But as far as the transition, you know, I'm sitting with Mike and Casey Hall, and, you know, Mike looks at Casey and says, I think we can do the $100,000, you know, for $102 a month. Okay, awesome. Well, let's get you guys approved. So I noticed I leaned in and I went to my computer. So I do all my apps on the computer except one company, American Amicable. I just do it all on my phone, on the Final Expense Senior Choice product. But my Forsters, my GPM, I do everything on the computer. So, all right, Mike, let's go and get you guys approved, and then I'll start doing the process. All right. I don't say, all right, well, go get your driver's license. I don't do that. All right. So I just say, all right, well, let's get you guys approved. Because notice when at the beginning of my presentation, what I tell them is, Mike, Casey, my job is to get you approved. All right. I'm going to gather just a little bit more information. Once I feel like I can get you approved, then I'm going to show you the options. Okay. I know you guys want to protect this mortgage, but when I show you the options, hopefully it's just going to be a budget issue. It's got to make sense, financial sense, right? Okay, so I've already teed them up that, hey, this is what it's going to be. I got to get you approved. So once they choose the one that they want to do, all right, let's go ahead and get you approved. So I'm very assumptive. Like when they say, okay, I think we can do that one, I go ahead and go. I don't ask any more questions. Are you sure, Mike? Are y'all sure y'all can do this one? No, I just go ahead and go into the application, and you won't get any resistance. As far as the bank account information, so you get to the part, and I'm visualizing getting to the part with Forsters, for example, on the bank account. So if I'm writing Mike and Casey, Mike, all right, what day of the month do you guys want to pay this? You can pay it either tomorrow or anytime within the next 30 days. Once you pick that day, that's what day your bank pays it for you every month. See how casual that was. See how if you don't make a big deal about it, they're not going to make a deal about it. So, Mike, what day of the month what bank are you guys going to use to pay each month? What bank are you going to use to pay this each month? All right.
But yeah, the same one I pay my mortgage out of, right? It's just, you just hit the head on the nail on the head there, Nick. And it's right back to what we've always taught our agents. And then it said, if you don't make something a big deal, it's not going to be a big deal. If you make something a big deal, it's going to be a big deal. If you're getting nervous about transitioning into the app, or you're getting nervous about asking for the banking information, they're going to feel that. They're going to feel that when you're asking for it, and it's going to create an issue. If it's no big deal, because you're helping a lot of people a day, and it's and you're speaking with confidence and conviction because it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I probably should have left the other coaches up. We're going to bring them back up here too. But what about at the end there, Nick, when they tell you they want to think about it? How do you handle that?
I understand if you want to think about it. Here's the thing about the way these products work, Mike and Casey, is it's all based on your age, all right, and all based on your health. You guys qualify for these plans today. If it's a budget issue, let me know. We can go lower, okay? You've got the options that I've shown you, but we can go lower. The main thing is getting you in something that you get approved at, but most importantly, that you feel comfortable paying on a monthly basis. I don't want to give you something that you have to stress about paying. My goal is to give you something when you lay down at night, knowing that Casey's got some cash to stay in the house, okay? If you get sick on the job and can't work, you can file a claim on this policy and make sure you guys stay in the house. So get you something that you say, Nick, hey, we can afford that. We don't even think about it, all right?
And I think
will be best.
I think part of it too is if we can be proactive about the objections, right? Like you even said that you just said at the beginning that you tell people, hey, look, my job today is to see if I can get you approved. And then at the end, it's like, okay, let's see if we can get you guys approved. Let's go ahead and get you guys approved. It's right in line with what you were saying, right? So when we set those proper expectations in the beginning and we let them know what we're doing, and then we just follow through with it, it's just like what I shared a couple of weeks ago, right? It's like, okay, so when we get on here, we're just going to let you know that we're going to do the shopping for you so that we hit all that up front and we're proactive on it. That when they come back, it's like, well, Mike, I got to think about it. Well, Nick, we talked about this. You're 40 years old. You're 42 years old. You're 43 years old. You've been thinking about this your entire life. Like you have a heart attack today, it's too late to thinking about it's over. We've already established the fact that this is important for you and your wife and that your family would literally be screwed, right? And I mean, like when I'm talking to my clients, I talk with them with that level of directness and that level of conviction because they need to know that I believe wholeheartedly in what we're talking about, what we're doing, that it's there for their benefit, not ours.
Yes. And here's the thing. One thing you're going to do, it's you can't replace the experience, getting the reps in this business. So that's like Connor was saying, it's never been better than it is right now. In my 18 years of the business, it's never been better from the aspect of a daily coaching call. If you'd have told me a year ago, there's a coaching call every single day. Oh God, another call. We got another call. But it's the complete opposite now. I was telling my wife this morning, I'm working more hours now than I worked in 3 years, but I have more energy now than I've ever had. So once you get locked into something, once you get plugged into something, you're going to hear things that are just more and more profound to the business. You're going to learn from what we're doing, So again, it's just getting in the reps and Mondays, guys, and I'm going to be a big proponent about Mondays going forward because in our business for the last 18 years, Monday sets the tone for everything. Prepare yourself on Sunday night. If your work schedule is Monday through Thursday, okay, I'm talking to this person right now. Your work schedule is Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday. I know a lot of organizations, they write a lot of business on the weekend, all right? But whatever that looks like for you, prepare that night for that day so you can get your mind right, so you can get everything ready for that day. Set the tone for the week. When you write a couple apps, that gives you confidence. When Carlos Bastarda has a good Monday, you can mark it down. He's going to have a big week. When Connor Jones has that big Monday, you can mark it down. He's going to have a big week. Why? Because the confidence is there. You're not nervous and holding on to it, waiting for their response on everything. So it's getting the reps in, being confident in what you do. Think about anything you've bought whether it be a car, whether it be furniture, whether it be, Bill Martin gave the example about furniture, whether it be TV, somebody that's pressing you, asking you a bunch of questions on top of you, what are you going to do? You're going to back off, right? If somebody's very relaxed, if they let you know up front, hey guys, my job's to get you approved. Once I get you approved, I'm going to show you the options that are available. All right. And at that point, it's just going to be a budget issue, right? It's got to make financial sense, right? And you can see them go, yep, that's right. That's right. They get very relaxed. It's almost like, okay, he's not trying to sell me. He just wants to see which plans I qualify for. And then he's going to show me the options and we can make a decision on what fits our budget. And then that's when I go into the needs analysis sheet. So it's so important along the way. That's why, we talked about it on Tuesday. The coaching call going forward is going to be intense on that presentation. All right. You can send text messages, set appointments. My admin set appointments for the first time yesterday. She set 6 appointments on closeout text. I sat on all 6. I wrote the first 5 and I didn't write the last 6. So sat on all 6. So she's never set an appointment. Did she do something magical on that text? No. She did the copy and paste that's on the back end of the website. All right. She's never booked an appointment. She set 6 yesterday and I sat on all 6. So I say that this call going forward is going to be really focused in on you getting good at the presentation because there's so many of you, the Patrick Baileys of the world, the Rod Williams, Tyler Bosch, you guys are getting the sits, you're getting better and better at that presentation. Then it's, it's like Connor says, man, once you hit that 20 set a week mark, you can mark it down. That's that 10 plus K a week. Like Tyler Bosch, I think he hit almost 15 grand this week. He got 21 sits. You get in that 20 sit mark a week, you're going to make some money in this business because it's all about those sits. And with the text messaging that we have, that sit ratio has been a complete game changer.
100%. It's crazy. Heather, let's go ahead and bring Carlos and Connor back up if we can, please. And Carlos, what I just want to ask you the same thing. Do you have do you do anything different on how you transition into the app, or any other comments on what we're talking about with the banking information?
Similar to Nick, it's pretty assumptive, right? When it goes into, as soon as they make a decision, it's all right. Okay, make sure you get your driver's license available. Or even if they're leaning towards a number, yeah, we like number 2. I'm like, okay, great. Make sure you get your driver's license available. I mean, once you get that buying signal, you got, that's it. What's the worst thing they can do is stop you and say, oh, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Did you want option 1? No, we're going to stick with 2. Oh, okay. Grab your driver's license. But, getting into, and I just had this conversation with Kyle the other day too. It's like, he's like, and Kyle's really good at always getting stuff for the phone, but he was kind of struggling with getting the banking information from the client. I said, how did you approach the banking information? He says, well, this person was kind of, up to do and very kind of guarded and stuff. So I was nervous to ask her. I said, you made a big deal about it. Make a big deal about it. They're going to make a big deal about it. I said, you have to, most of the applications, I do done a ton of AmeriCorps here lately, but, in the application, sometimes, especially AMAMS is upside down. When you go into the personal information, one of the first things it asks is the bank account. I'm not going to jump right in. I skip over that part, scroll down, go over the address, go over the other stuff, beneficiary. It's conversation along the way because I'm going to warm them up. I'm just not going to jump right in and ask to date their daughter, So you warm them up along the way, and then I just simply say, is there any specific day of the month you want this to come out of your account? Yeah, let's go with the 15th. Okay, fantastic. Put that down. All right. And what's the name of that bank that you want the payment to come from? Bank of America. Okay, great. And, of course, I need the routing and account number. So go ahead and grab that for me, and I'll finish up on this other part. That's it. Just very, very, very something. And I have to say, I'm not saying beating my chest saying it never happens, but rarely ever happens that somebody doesn't want to give a bank account. But last night, I actually did have a 73-year-old woman. Could not get her on video. Matt wants to be in the picture. Could not get her on video due to, she just couldn't figure out the tech part. And so I had to do a phone call, right? So I had to spend extra time with her because I really had to create that rapport. She's 73 and all. Finally, we made a decision after an hour. It was $123 a month on a final expense to cover payments. And we started getting through the whole application, and finally we get to the banking part, and I do what I was supposed to do. And she says, "Oh no, I don't do banking, auto banking. I like to pay all my bills, and I don't give my account number out and all that." So she had herself convinced that she wasn't going to give me the banking information, right? But Carlos knew better. So instead of getting all frantic and excited and saying, "Oh, blah, blah, blah," I said, "Listen, Miss Carolyn, I understand. You got to be careful what's going on out there in the world. Now, you can choose to pay quarterly, semi, or annual." She goes, "Oh, I like that." I said, "But to start out quarterly, you're going to have to pay 3 months up front. So that's $300 and something dollars." She's like, "Ooh." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Listen, all we have to do is at least have one payment come out of your account. And if you want to contact the insurance company, switch to quarterly, semi-annual, or annual, you can do that at any time. You just pay that mode, and the company will switch you over." "Oh, is that all?" "Yes, ma'am. We can get this set up today. I can probably get you approved today because you're in good health. All we got to do is have that one payment come out." "Okay, well, I can do that." "Okay, great. Now, I know you're going to change this later, but just in case you decide to leave this alone, what day of the month you want it to come out each month?" She goes, "Well, let's do the 20th of the month." "Okay, great." Got her banking information. She goes, "I might just leave it on that, as long as I know it's on the 20th of each month." So just like that, she just kind of turned the corner, but I didn't get excited. I didn't make a big deal about it. So at the end of this call, she didn't make a big deal. It was instant approved, $123 a month from Mutual of Omaha. She's got great protection, and I got an instant approval for a client. I mean, boom, right? So just handle that every time the same way. Stay calm. Don't be reactive. Be responsive, right? And handle that. And you'll get it down after a time. You'll handle it like a pro. And then as far as I want to think about it, that used to be my nemesis, man. I ain't got a lot of years ago. I hated that, right? But now I actually love I want to think about it. Now, hold on. I'm not that demented, but I'll tell you why. I want to think about it because it's not no. So as long as it's not no, I know I still got a chance. So you're saying there's a chance, right? So when a client tells me I want to think about it, well, I know I did a good job at presenting. I know I did a good job at creating value because I make sure I do the same thing like Nick said, just repetition, doing that presentation. And I feel in my head that each presentation I do each day gets better and stronger, right? Because I want to do better than the last one. So I know I put all the groundwork in there properly. So now it's just a matter of they have that little glitch in their head and they just can't make a decision. Or I always like to say this, right? And I said this before, when you got a husband and wife, sometimes all they need is just that little confirmation between each other that they want to do a particular plan because they don't want to commit each other in front of me, right? So there's two things I do. One is, and I trademarked and patented this in the office, and the guys like to do it. It's called the walk away, right? So if I get two clients that are right there, they're on the cusp, I know they want to make a decision, but they're not really saying anything. I say, "You know what, Tom and Mary, give me 1 second. I have to help an agent in my office real quick. You two, you can mute yourself out, talk amongst yourselves, talk about it, and let me know which plan you like when I come back." I walk away. I walk out in the hallway. I walk into Kyle's office. He's like, "You did the walk away, didn't you?" Like, "Yeah." I go, "They're going to pick option 2. And some people, a lot of times, they don't even get themselves, and you'll hear them going, "Yeah, I like option 2. I said, "See, option 2, right?" Go back in. I sit down. I say, "Okay, which plan did you folks decide?" "Well, we like option 2. Can we always go up in the future?" "Yes, you can always go up." Now, the hard one is when somebody says, "I want to think about it," and they don't want to make a decision, right? "Well, how long do we have to think about this?" And I'll say, "I'm going to role play with you, Mike. So, Mike, out of the options you see, which one makes the most sense and fits within your budget?"
The middle one. Oh,
No, you want to think about it.
no, I want to think about it.
Oh, okay. And most people will say,
Easy sale.
Most people say, "How long do I have to think about this?" So I said, "Mike, I'm going to be honest with you. You and Casey can think about this forever. I'm not a high pressure guy. I'm not going to say you have to make a decision today, but I'm going to be honest and transparent with you, like I have been this whole time. if you don't make a decision today when you have the most information available to you in this critical time frame, you're not going to make a decision. Why? Because of human nature. And we're going to put things on the back shelf. We're saying we're going to think about it, but what happens? We get busy with the kids' lives. We get busy with our own lives. You know, something happens, the water furnace blows up, something, and next thing you know, it doesn't become important anymore. And Mike, I have way too many stories in my career where people that thought about this and should have gotten it didn't, and it came back on the family. And next thing you know, I'm getting phone calls from the family saying, I saw your information on my folks' refrigerator. How much life insurance they have with you? I said, sorry, they wanted to think about it. So you can think about it all you want, but my recommendation would be, if it's a matter of finances, let's just at least go with option 3 for now. You can always buy up in the future, provided you're healthy, but I can't ever go back in time and put it in place.
You know, there's two things that you said there, and I want to jump over to Connor here for a second too. But I love the walk away. That's what I used to do face to face in the house. It's like, hey, I need to make a couple of phone calls real quick. I'm going to step out to the car and I'll be right back in. But there's something else I want to bring attention to. And when you came back, you didn't say, okay, so tell me what you guys decided. Did you decide you want to do this? No, you didn't say that. You said, which one did you choose? Which one did you want to start with? Which one did you want to go with? Very assumptive. You know, Connor, a lot of times, and we're going to get to some questions. I want to bring Tyler Bosch up here in a second too, once I ask you this. But a lot of times what I find is that objections, you know, when you get, I want to think about it, or any other objection, it really just comes down to the money, right? Because a lot of times you say, well, if it was free, would you have to think about it? Well, no, right? So is there anything different that you do to handle objections? And do you get a lot of them?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Gotcha.
Kind of cut out a little bit. I apologize. No, man, I tell you what Carlos just said, I hope everybody marked that down, by the way. I wanted to share that before anything. I don't know if anybody can read my lips. I was saying, man, that was perfect, right? What he was saying to the client when they need to think about it. And a lot of the things, you guys, like with banking, it's funny when you were going over that with Nick and Carlos, people always ask me, Mike, they go, how do you ask for banking? I go, do you want it out of your checking or your savings, ma'am? I mean, that's it. Like, the problem is too, like you read through all these questions, like you're fine asking them about if they have high blood pressure, but then you get weird when you ask them banking. Just keep the same tonality and the same process when you're doing it. And again, before you try to make some big change on that, make a little tweak. Just say, Mike, what account did you want to come out of? Oh, my US bank. Okay, great. Will you verify the routing and account number for me? Just change the verify instead of, can I have your banking, or can you tell me your banking? Say, will you verify the routing and account number for me? Okay, perfect. And I won't even normally pull the routing up. I'll just say, can you verify the routing for me? I said, I could pull it up for you, but I just want to make sure it's right for you. Perfect. Yep. Okay, great. Think about it to always be tough. I'll give you guys an example from yesterday. I had this couple, and I know they were disappointed because they were older and they were in their late 70s. So they both already had 50 grand each in a whole life. We double checked them. And they both had health issues. So they really couldn't qualify for anything except final expense. And I tried to find a way to make it make sense. And it was one of those situations where there really wasn't much I could do. But I tried to flip it around. And long story short, they were like, oh, well, we need to think about it, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, a lot of these clients that say this, what you need to realize is they're trying to be polite until you know, okay? They're trying to be polite. So one question that I've heard a million times as well is you tell people, okay, do you need to think about the coverage or do you need to think about the money? And if they go about the coverage, that's a whole other issue now, right? And that's where it stems from. Because I agree 1,000,000% that it's budgetary, but I also know for a fact, if they understand that they need it, there's not a price tag that they won't pay. So that's the thing as well, as what they're saying is 1,000% accurate, but it always stems as well from the need, right? When people see things as valuable, price tags go away. Why do you think there's all these luxury items in the world? right? They got all these wealthy people where they're trying to find what's the next valuable hobby, right? Most people would never pay so much money for a watch, right? Because they don't see it as valuable. But then you got those watch collectors and they're like, I don't care how much it costs, I want it. It's the same thing with insurance. Like if they see the value in it and they see the issue, there's not a price tag. And if there is, they're willing to work through the options. But that's where, again, so when you look at it in both directions, the budget side's huge because you got to make it fit. But always ask that question, is it a problem with the coverage or with the budget? And if they say it's with the coverage, they're probably trying to be polite and just tell you they don't want it. So you have to be honest with them at that point. Okay,
What
but
a
what
great
we went
point.
through, yeah, this is all that you're going to be able to qualify for. I apologize. Or I don't say I apologize. I say this is what's available to you. Okay. Is this different than what you were originally thinking, or what's kind of the hiccup? And try to figure it out that way, because everybody knows it on the call too. If you get to numbers before finding the reason why they need the coverage, or if you get to numbers before they've even had time to process if they need it, because I mean, Nick and Carlos and Mike, you guys know too, because I have done it, especially in a busy day. You get onto an appointment and you're like, man, I got one coming up, right? Or I'm trying to get through this kind of quickly. And then you don't even give them time to process it. Because the problem is if you get to numbers even in 15 minutes, they're making a decision within really 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, because you're getting them on video in the beginning. So you also have to give enough time so that they can get comfortable. Because they might like you, but you didn't give enough time in between talking and presenting the numbers for them to even make a decision mentally. So make sure to focus on that too. I don't know. We could ask everybody, all the coaches, on how much time you give, but you need at least, 20 minutes between getting them on video to telling them numbers. Because again, it depends on the client, of course, but you have to give them time to cook a little before they're going to make a decision.
Yeah, I want to move on because I think we got a lot to cover, but I love that you just brought that up. I've never even thought about it that way, Connor. That was great. Do you need to think about the coverage? You need to think about the money. So I hope you guys are writing that down. What a great tip. And thanks for sharing what you did too, Carlos. Now I want to bring Tyler up. So I know that Tyler's been having a conversation with Nick and Scott, and Tyler and I were talking just briefly. And I was talking with Scott last night about it. And it sounds like, Tyler, I know you've been plugging in every day. I know you've been doing the activity. It sounds like you got to the point that maybe you were just overthinking it or overcomplicating the process. You want to share with us kind of what the struggle was and maybe what you did to have such a great week this week?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you guys, I don't know how I can follow up from these coaches. It's all been so good. All of you. But, so kind of the way it's been going for me is I've been doing the activity. I've been putting 30 appointments. 1 week was 43, high 20s, number of appointments up on the board. And my sit ratio has been right where it had to be, 60 to 70%, somewhere in there. But I wasn't fine-tuned with my presentation, and this coaching call and then also some outside help has really helped me tune that in. But I think the really cool thing and the encouragement that I would have wanted to hear for myself a couple of weeks ago or anybody else is, even though I didn't have my and I still don't, but I didn't have my presentation fine-tuned, I was still having the biggest months I've ever had. It was still because of the activity I'm able to put in and how quickly, you can see so many more people in a day. I was still having the biggest months I've ever had and all consecutively. And I think this month, this month's going to be probably my biggest. And I had, I reached out to Nick and Noel, and I just listened to the coaching calls, and I wanted to find one person that I could just really, really mirror. And who better than Nick's just blowing it up. So, and his style kind of really meshes well with mine. But we talked, and it was about how I was just bogging my presentations down with too many questions. I was Nick, I think it was, I was asking way too many health questions, which are good, but really he gave me the pointer of the prescriptions tell the tale, so really dig into the prescriptions, which I kind of knew that already, but it just helped me kind of see that's really all I have to do, because a lot of these companies that we write, they're going to give us a decision, like Americo, that we can type in the prescriptions and basically get almost approved before we even submit it. Right. So there was that. And then one thing that really hit home for me, like the light bulb just went off when we were talking about, or I think it was Amber was on here, and she was talking about how she would be a person who would say in a presentation, I want to think about it, or I want to shop around. So it's hard for her, or it was hard for her. She's made that adjustment. She killed it. I think the next day after she got help. But it was hard for her to feel, I guess, right about telling somebody that they had to decide to do this today, right? Or that they shouldn't shop around. So for me, every time I would get to the point of trying to find pain in a presentation, I felt uncomfortable. And it was the wrong kind of uncomfortable. I wasn't doing it correctly. And because of that, I always had weird responses, or just kind of weird vibes in the appointment from it. I was asking too much, so Nick said, just kind of trim the fat a little bit, focus on the question. And that is, are you even going to stay in the house? Look at both of them and ask, are you going to stay in the house? And it's incredible now. My presentation is so simplified. It's get them on camera, little small chat when we're doing that, WFWFW. And then it's, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, gather some information from you, that kind of thing. We'll go into the needs analysis. And then it's based on, what they tell me. Okay, good news. It looks like you guys could qualify for our top tier. Basically what that means is you get day one coverage, day one coverage, and it's a level benefit. But let me ask you guys a question. Is this, and a lot of people don't even think about this until I actually ask them. But, Jamie, if you passed away, or Jamie, if John passed away, are you going to even stay in the house, or do you think you'd sell it or downsize? And just doing that, that's my process. So what I just outlined, that's my process. Just doing that, getting the answer, and then moving to 3 options has changed everything. My closing ratio went way up. My confidence went way up, because I know how simple it is in my mind to follow along. And I've got little sticky notes, what does WFWFW stand for? So I can remember it while I'm going through. But just making those little adjustments has changed everything. And I just think it's so powerful what we can do with virtual, because I actually wrote an app yesterday morning, and I had to go out to their house because they couldn't figure out how to do the e-signature. So I had to drive an hour out to their house, have them sign it, and then drive an hour back to do my appointments. But while I was doing that, I stopped at the gas station just like I always did. I had to get some gas, got a coffee, got a slice of pizza. And I was just thinking, man, I am spoiled now. I just have to go 10 minutes to an office, sit at a nice cozy desk, and talk to so many more people. I'm not wasting all this time on the road. We've got it good doing it virtual. And so that's what's happened here in the last week or so.
You know what? I love the power of this coaching call. And who was it that shared the WFWFW? I think that originally came from Lampy, they said, right? Didn't Noelle say she got it from Lampy? And so, and then Carlos just said a few minutes ago that there was something that he didn't create. Well, I've been in this business 11 years, and I've never created anything. Everything that I've used, I borrowed or stole or used from somebody else. And that's the incredible thing about this, right? The power of this coaching call is that none of us have all got it figured out. When we can get everybody together and we can talk about what's working the best and do exactly what you just said, Tyler, trim the fat. Right? Stop overcomplicating it. Nick, I probably should have tossed it over to you first, but I want to see if you have any comments about your conversation with Tyler, if you had any other follow-up questions you wanted to ask him about that.
The beauty about what Tyler has done is Tyler is putting in the activity. So Tyler could never adjust what he was doing if he didn't have a repetition of what he was flowing into, if that makes sense. So you got to do the time. You got to do the activity. That's where your adjustments along the way can change. So that's why it's so important that you got to do the activity. That way you can get on this call, right? And your footwork can change. All right. Your body posture can change. That's an athletic coaching deal. So like the guys at Ohio State that show up to practice, if they don't show up in shape to practice, those coaches can't coach hard, right? If you're not doing the activity each and every week, everything we're saying it's not going to register. It registered with Tyler because Tyler is a workhorse. Tyler is getting it done, but it's just that small adjustments. It is keeping it simple. When we implemented the flip chart sales system to our business, that's when everything changed because it was simplified. All right. The flip chart compared to this is on steroids compared to the flip chart sales system because everybody has a track to run on. Everybody is going to be doing it hopefully the same way. Yeah, you're going to use your different personalities. Carlos said, what is going to come out of. I'm going to say, which bank do you want to pay it from? I'm old school. If I say come out of your checking account, back in the day, people would freak out. No, I don't want nothing coming out of my checking account. No, your bank's going to pay for it. It's just little things along the way. But the point is, Tyler could make that adjustment because Tyler knew what he was doing wrong. It was just a simple conversation we had last Friday. I don't ask all those detailed questions initially on. Now, when I get into the app, I go through the app and ask those detailed questions. But I'll say, Carlos, man, you look good. Man, how's your health? Oh, it's good. It's good. I take a little blood pressure medication. Okay, we take lisinopril, amlodipine, losartan. Yeah, amlodipine. All right, what's the dosage on that? Is it a small one or big one? Just one medication? Okay. Carlos, you take anything else? No, I'm good. So no any kind of surgeries in the last 5 years, no kind of heart attack, stroke, nothing like that. Okay, good. All right, and then I go to his wife. Same thing, very nonchalant. Okay, I'm not getting into details then because what I'm doing is I'm gathering that information, and then if Carlos tells me he takes amlodipine, no kind of heart attack, stroke, diabetes, nothing like that in the last 5 years, then he qualifies for the top tier in my mind. But then when I get to the application, I'll go through every detailed question just to make sure that there's nothing coming up. So you don't want to bog somebody down early on. It's like going to a car lot when that salesman is asking you all these questions. Let me run your credit check. You don't want all that. You just want to be you want to make sure they find the right car and get it within your budget before you go through all the details. So Tyler, that's awesome, man. 21 sits this week, guys. Tyler had 21 sits.
Wow. Here's what I heard, Tyler, and I want to bring attention to this because I guarantee you there's other people in this call that are feeling the same way. You were already plugging in every day. You were plugging in, you were doing the activity, but if you're not willing to make the tweaks, if you're not willing to take the action on what you're learning on these calls, you're not going to get any better. Just plugging into the call alone every day is not enough. It's not enough. We got 400 and some people every day plugging into this call, but unless you immediately take action and improvise that change, you're not going to get any better. Anything else you want to share with us, Tyler?
Yeah, I had a handful of things that I was going through my mind, but I think a really important part for everybody is if you're not already, make sure you're tracking your numbers. All your numbers, because that's how I knew what I had to fix. And that's, just talking to Nick and Noel and others, that's how we knew what we had to fix. The percent of my closing ratio was down. I was getting the sits and everything. So it helps you to really dial things in. But just like I said, even if you are plugging in, feeling discouraged for maybe because you're not doing what you want to do, but if you're plugging in, keep going through the reps. And if you're not having luck, work even harder because like I said, I think it was like the first few weeks I did this it was the first few weeks I did this virtually. I wanted to get through that learning curve as fast as possible. And I think I'm still going through it, but I just put the hammer down for the first few weeks. My third week, I had 43 appointments. Like, you can't help but get better when you are doing so much work, when you're going through it so often. It's like you're just going to have muscle memory. And what I had done was I had created muscle memory with a couple bad habits, and I trimmed them out. we had to identify the problem. I asked for help, wasn't afraid to ask for help. So just always be learning, always be willing to learn, willing to accept that, you might not have all the right answers. So just, I guess, be humble, be hungry, and be hungry to grow and learn.
And well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, Tyler. Look, 43 appointments in a week, man. That's not shabby. That's getting after it. And one of the things that Nick and Connor talk about on this call all the time is that this isn't easier. It's just another avenue of activity. It's another way to be more efficient. And proud of you, man. This you are an example of what this call is meant for. They take someone that's already at the top of their game and make them even better, and even more efficient.
I do remember what I was going to say. Yeah, it's not, the credit that I can take is that I work hard, but I give these guys the credit for pouring into us every day. And just, it's not my skill. It's just being a mirror, or just being a copycat. If you can be the best copycat, like I've watched Nick's video so many times, and there were a couple of times yesterday when I was doing appointments, I thought to myself when I said something, I even said it with a little accent like Nick. I even said diabetes. So,
yeah. Hey, in my world in final expense sales, I caught a Nick Burns Southern accent for a long time. So, hey, man, congratulations, Tyler, and thanks for being willing to jump on here and share with us.
Yeah, thanks for the help.
Okay, guys, so let's jump into a couple of questions. It's 11 o'clock, so we'll go till probably 11:30 or so, but let's just get a couple of these questions knocked out here. Okay, so here's a question. A few clients have either texted or called to say that they've had coverage in place, naming the insurance company or agent. What must agents do to report these, as I feel I've wasted a few dollars? I'm not sure that I understand that question, but Nick, you know what they're asking there? So a few clients have either texted or called to say they've had, so maybe she's texting the clients to set the appointments, and they're saying they've already got coverage in place, saying that they even name in the name of the insurance company. So what they're asking is how do they report that feeling they've wasted some money? I'll tell you that before we toss this over, when I'm meeting with clients, I just assume that everyone's got life insurance, and I don't make a big deal about it. And I just build value for more. And then I look at whether or not I can replace that and save them some money and put them in a better position personally. I know that typically people don't buy life insurance just to get it. A lot of times it's specifically to cover a debt, specifically to replace an income. And I know when I'm talking with somebody, and I was talking with the agent yesterday, and I said, well, what if somebody's making $50,000 a year and they've got $250,000 in whole life insurance? It's like, how do you build the value for that? Right. And it's like, well, it's simple, because if that person loses their income and the spouse has got to live on that dollar for dollar, that $250 lasts them 5 years. If they cut it in half, they live on half that money, it lasts them for 10 years. Right. So why rob from Peter to pay Paul when this can go take the mortgage off, so that can replace the income even longer, and you can make it last and not try to do the maximum with the minimum. Nick, let me toss it over to you and see if you understand that differently and want to add something to it.
Yeah, the question may be if it's an Equus agent, I'm assuming, and you feel like you wasted a lead. If it's an Equus agent that wrote it, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe reach out to the lead department. That's why it's so important for everybody to report their business when they write something. But if somebody has coverage and it's not with Equus, that's a good deal. That's a good thing for me, because they're a buyer, right? So if I get that on a text, I won't get into a text conversation with them. I'll immediately call that client. Hey, it's Nick. Hey, I saw you've got coverage. I just need to put the name of the company that you got and how much coverage you got, so my company don't keep reaching out to you. And then you go down a trail with them, and it may be something that you can really help them out with. Guys, people that have coverage, is a good thing. That means they're buyers. I talked to a gentleman yesterday. He was 69 years old, Carlos, and he told me he was paying $63 and $39 on another policy. So $63, $39. He had two policies with Mutual Omaha. He said he had $112,000 and a $98,000 policy. So $112,000 and a $98,000 policy. I said, look, from what you're paying, you said you had a stroke 3.5 years ago. That just doesn't sound right. Let's call Mutual Omaha. I'm an agent with Mutual Omaha. Let's call them just to make sure of what you have. We called Mutual Omaha. He had a $10,000 whole life policy, and he had an accidental policy.
I can't tell you how many times I run into that.
I said, Oscar, did you hear what they said? Yeah. Yeah, I heard exactly what they said. That ain't what the agent told me. So long story short, we was able to, he was a tobacco user. All right. The agent wrote him non-tobacco. All right. Didn't do what he was supposed to do, but he only had 30 days before it reached the 2-year mark. So I recommended keep that policy. You got lucky. You're going to make it to the 2-year mark. Okay. So keep that policy. You're paying $63 a month on. All right. Because it has to pay after 2 years, even though the agent did not do what he was supposed to. Did you tell him you smoked? Yeah, I told him I smoked. Okay. Well, the agent didn't do what he's supposed to. If you'd have died, and if you died in the next 30 days, that policy may not pay. But once it hits the 2-year mark, it has to pay. So keep that policy. It's a really good rate. All right. So what I was able to do, I'd write it because his mortgage payment was like 15 grand a year. So I wrote him a $15,000 whole life policy with AMAM, tobacco rate. Okay. Did what was right, wrote him to the tobacco rate. And I said, if you quit smoking next year, we can change it. He jumped all on it. All right. So approved immediately over the phone with AMM. So dive into, especially if it's within working hours, within that 5 o'clock Eastern time, call the insurance company. You know that they don't have what they think they have, but call the insurance company. Let them hear it from the horse's mouth. Let them hear it from the company they've been making those payments to for 2 years. Not from you, somebody they don't know. Let them hear from the company that it's been coming out of their bank account every month, Carlos, that they've been paying, right? And let them hear it from them. Once they hear it from them, then it's a done deal after that, right? Very rarely have I ever gotten an insurance company on the phone and wasn't able to get the client more coverage because it wasn't exactly what they thought they had. So I know we kind of went a different route from the question, but yeah, clients that have coverage, those are good clients to have because they're buyers.
That's a great point, Nick, too. And I've always loved calling the insurance company because it's always better for them to hear it directly from the insurance company's mouth than yours. All right, so we've got a couple of questions we're going to share with the other coaches here. But before we do that, Heather, if we can bring Patrick Bailey up. So, Nick, Patrick has sent the question in, just wanted to he said he had gotten a light and wanted us to double check his background to see if it's a little bit better than before. So if you can find Patrick, Heather, and bring him up. Give that a check this morning.
I'm going to use the walk away next week. That was huge. I really like that. I've sat hey, look, you guys take your time. And I've sat there, but I'm still there. I'm going to use the walk away going forward. That was really good.
Yeah, we used to do that in person. Let's see here. We got Patrick on, Heather. Oh, there he is. I see him. You able to get him pinned? Let me see if I can pin him. There we go.
Hey.
All right, Nick. So you want to give him some thoughts on his background there?
Night and day difference, Patrick. Hey, I noticed no headphones today.
Yeah, I got a speaker set up. I got my light. It's not in front. My selfie light's to my left because it won't fit in front. But does it look better?
Dude, it's great. It's absolutely great. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It worked last night. Got 2 apps out of it.
Great job, man.
Hey, now you look just like a guy and not a jet fighter pilot.
Hey, Patrick's another one. He's on the call every single day. I see him up at the top. He's one of and I think he gets on early because I see him. I see Jamie Trent. I see Bill Lampy. I see Patrick Bailey. Those are the 3 I see every day on the call. And you're soaking it in, man, and you're doing the activity. Man, I think you're going to be 7,500, 10K a week in the next 30 days, Patrick. I think you can do it. You're putting in the activity to do it. You're putting in the activity. So once you start getting better on your sits, then it's going to start clicking. Listen, I sucked at this. Connor and Rumbo taught me how to do this. I was not good at this at all. I was very transactional. So plugging into Connor, plugging into Rumbo, they taught me how to do this. And it was just putting in the reps. So I think you can do that, man. I really do. Because again, you're committed to it. That's the thing. You're coachable. You're committed to it. I'm telling you, it's little things along the way.
Man, I really appreciate everything. This call is awesome.
Great job, Patrick. Looking good, man.
Hey, Mike, and I just wanted to point out, man, one thing all you guys are hearing today about everybody who's winning: repetition, repetition, repetition. Doing the activities and putting in the reps, like Nick said. If you just do that, you're gonna win over time. But it's gonna take you a little bit of time when you're new, right? You're gonna stumble, you're gonna fumble a little bit, you're gonna forget things to say. That's okay. Those are training wheels, baby. What happens when those wheels come off? You fly, right? But you gotta get in the reps. This was a little tougher week for me. I had 23 appointments because I was feeling rough Thursday or Wednesday, and I was just trying to kick this cold or sinus infection, whatever it is. Man, I just felt bad, so I only ran 2 appointments that day, but still had 23 appointments for the week, 15 applications for only 12,000 in production. So I did a high number of apps, but sometimes you're going to have those weeks where I had a lot of young folks. I had a lot of Connor Joneses this week, man, for some reason. Usually I get older folks, which I love, right, because they generate the higher premiums. But I worked my tail off, wrote a lot of apps, but the premium count, still I'm complaining about a $12,000 week.
That's not a shabby week.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could have hung out there with Nick this week, but it is what it is. But still, overall, those averages, you're gonna win.
Well, great. Thanks for sharing that. Congratulations again, Patrick. You look really sharp, man. The background looks good. Definitely love the lighting. All right, let's jump on to the next question. I'm going to send this over to you, Carlos. You've been doing some texting. So the question is, how important is it to include their name when you're texting to set the appointment?
I think it's important to me and the client. Well, number one, you're personalizing. Anytime you can personalize it, is it an extra step? Yeah. But the way I changed my template a little bit is to say, hi, and then a comma, left that spot blank. So, hi, Joe, right? And then I drop down and says, all the for your mortgage protection benefit. And then I added through your bank, and then I put in the bank name there, right? So it's personalized to that client, number one, so they feel like it's not just a robotic text coming out. But number two, it helps me find that client a lot quicker. So if I see Joe, I can flip through the ones I know I just texted, look for Joe, and then match the phone number up. It's a lot easier to find. If I wasn't putting a name in there, now I'm just trying to find a phone number itself, and it makes it a little bit tougher to track. So I think that's been a huge game changer in terms of getting a better response from clients. And, you're right, Nick. You said to tell you after 30 days how texting is. I didn't need 30 days, brother. 100% text this week, man. And it's been an absolute fun. I mean, we're having fun. Gabe's coming to mind. Man, I sent out 10 texts and I got 2 appointments. I 6,000 this week, man. First week back in the game. So I'm loving the text. But yes, personalized, I feel anyways, is important. Their name, first name, and then the name of their bank.
If I were to receive a text and it had my name on it, I would feel the same way. I would know that it was directed to me and that it wasn't a group text. And you got any comments that you want to add to that, Nick, about the texting, about adding the name on the text? So the question was, how important is it to add their name on the text when you're setting the appointment?
Very important. I think it's the difference on the text. Connor Jones with Rocket Mortgage protection availability for your loan with Rocket Mortgage. All right. And then do everything else the same. It's a must, in my opinion. And don't say, I used to put miss or good morning, none of that. Just put their name, Connor. Keep it professional and put the mortgage company. So, like I said, anybody can do it. I think that, use the closeout text as well. I sent a bunch of texts to a bunch of, 6, 7, 8, 9 week old A leads and, text them 3, 4, and 5 times, Connor. And sent out the closeout text and booked 6 appointments from it yesterday. So that's what Alyssa did. She sent the closeout text to them. So utilize that closeout text. Take it away from them.
That's a game changer by itself. Let's do some rapid fire. I want to cover some of these questions. It's 11:15. Got about another 15 minutes before we draw some money here. So Connor, I've got a question I'm going to throw over to you. It says, I've got a question. I'm a new agent taking my license exam on Sunday. Once I'm comfortable in the industry and I get into a groove, is it a straightforward process to build my own agency? That's something you've done a great job of, man. I mean, you built an incredible agency with some warm market, and you've got some young studs that are really hungry and doing a great job. So, how would you recommend that she build her agency once she's up and running?
The best way to do it is what Barry talks about. Get some cash flow glow, right? Put yourself in a position to where you talk a little different, you walk a little different, right? You learn the business. But what we're creating, though, for the company, which is going to be incredible, is every Friday is going to start becoming, we don't even want to say a recruiting call. It's going to be an opportunity call, right? Being able to allow other people to come in and look at our business and see if it's something that would suit them, right? Or see if they match up with us and our mindset and our culture and what we're doing here. So what I would tell all of you is you need to go out and plug into the system. And what you need to do is just talk about it. Again, this is going, if you allow it to be, this is going to be really a life-changing experience in this business. And what I mean by that, like a lot of people always talk about how it's not good to have an obsession with work, right? Or to not be like that towards work and not love work. And I've talked about this with Christian Pounder a million times. What this business turns you into is incredible, right? I mean, it changes your mind, your thinking. It allows you to dream. A lot of people have been stuck in a corporate world, and it allows your mind to expand and to really feel like you can go after it in different areas in your life. And what you need to do is allow the business to create those things for you by getting consistent with the activity. And all you need to do is just share it with other people, and they're going to notice. And then what you do is you invite them on the Friday call now. So I think, Nick, I was messaging you this morning. It starts next week, right? Next Friday is the first one. But every single week, you guys, you can text over a buddy and say, hey, jump onto our virtual coaching event or virtual hiring event. Jump on, check it out. And you already know they're going to jump in. And this is not going to be like anything they've ever seen. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited to have new people jump on every Friday with us and be able to share the opportunity. But go out and just explode. I mean, one thing I wanted to share, and again, I don't want to take too much time. All of this information, like what you heard from Tyler, what you've heard from Carlos, Nick, the one thing for all of you as well to always remember is what we put together, that 8-step guide up program. You guys need to become pros through that system. When Nick talks about how we're going to begin diving into more of the presentation and being able to really polish everyone into being a Nick Burns and being a Carlos, you have to do your homework, your due diligence, and you need to become a pro with that 8-step guide up. Meaning you're a pro at getting people on camera. You're a pro, at every single aspect. You know how to use the toolkit. You have the underwriting guides printed out, right? Like you're prepared to get to that next step in your business. So for all of you on here as well, I'm not telling you not to ask questions, but go through and make sure that you do your due diligence going through that 8-step guide up so that you allow yourself to be in a position to really grow. So get rid of all the little details, master those, and then get ready for the other small things. Like Patrick, I guarantee what you were doing has never been an issue, but changing up a background, right? Now all of a sudden you're more presentable to people. You look more real. Right? You don't look like I was telling Nick, it's hard with headsets. Like people don't see headsets anymore because everything's Bluetooth. So when they see a headset, they think of a call center, right? So just those little things, but master the details in the beginning so that you can actually grow, right? Learn to ask better questions. Does that make sense, everybody? Learn to ask better questions. Learn to be more detail-oriented within your questions, but you do that by really smoothing out the edges in the beginning.
I love your answer, Connor. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot in this company is that we're looking for leaders, not managers. And leaders are people that go out there and create something of value for you to follow and go after. And that's what our country needs right now. We need people to take initiative, take control of their life and their finances, go create a mess, give people a reason to want to work with you. And yes, plug people into this call, especially on Fridays starting next week, so that they'll be able to have somebody else that's been doing this longer than you explain this opportunity so that you don't have to worry about it yourself. All right. Let's see here. Next question. I'm going to answer this one. It says, how many contact attempts per lead before moving on to the next batch of leads? Thank you. Here's the answer to that. Never get rid of a lead until you get a hold of them. Always add fresh leads to your stack every single week. Always call the fresh leads first and then put them into the stack and don't change them. I've got a big, thick stack of leads that I call, and I want to share a quick story and then we'll move on. I had this guy that I called I called him for over 6 months, from October till the springtime, a couple of years ago till he reached me. I called every single week, and I triple dial when I call. And every time I've got a stack, when I call through the stack, I flip it over and I go again. So I would call the guy 8 to 10 times a week, sometimes more. 6 months later, he picked the phone up, and he had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 3 days before he answered the phone. We don't ever know what's going on. We don't know why someone's not answering. We don't know what's happening. A lot of times these texting may be an easier way to be able to get the leads closed out. But I don't ever get rid of a lead until I either contact them on the phone and talk with them, till I see them face to face. You know, we just don't know what's going on there. Maybe they were going through something in life and they weren't answering calls that they don't know. Now all of a sudden something happens and they pick the phone up. Another quick thing, right? I had a lady that, and let me just speak to what we do too, right? I had a lady that I helped that owns a company called Greentown Flooring. When I first moved to Indiana, I was able to protect her, her husband, and her 3 grandkids that they had adopted. Well, one of the grandkids had passed away 2 years ago, right? So the parents were on drugs when when she was pregnant with the kids. The kids had some issues. So always don't just be so tunnel vision when you go in there. Protect everybody in the house. By the way, I got a text message from the same lady just before Christmas this year. She was just diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. 2 weeks later, she sent me a text and they upgraded it to stage 4. So we're in the middle of doing a living benefits claim right now, right? So don't ever throw the leads away until you contact somebody. All right, so let's move on to another question here. And we're not going to be able to get them all answered today, but we'll answer a couple of them, then we'll go in and we'll draw some money. Nick, are you still, this question is specifically aimed at you. Are you still booking every half an hour with the show rates being so high?
Yes.
So how do you structure your day with your scheduling? When do you start booking them? Do you leave yourself that break? And how do you book your appointments for the day?
So the same script that's on the back end of the website I use, okay? It'll give a 2:30, I think like a 3:30, like a 5:30, and a 7:30. The reason it does that is because when I text it out, obviously Andrew and Ashlyn and Terry figured this out. When you text it out, you want to let the client know you're available after hours. So that's why you have that 6:30, 7:30 appointment on there. Once we start booking, then we'll send updated times. So if somebody picks a time and it happens a lot, somebody picks a time that somebody already got, hey, I already got this slot filled. What about this time? Do a drop down. So send the texts that are on the back end of the website. It's very simple to get to. I had a question about how do you find them on the back end of the website. Go to the training center. All right, on the left of your screen, training center, virtual training, okay? And then scroll all the way to the bottom. On the bottom left, it says text message script. So training center, virtual training center, all the way to the bottom left, text message script. Copy paste.
Okay, and then you just answered the next question too, because it's right in between where you just said. So the next question is, I missed yesterday and part of today, where do I go to watch the replays? Well, there's no complete replays, but if you go exactly where Nick just said and you click on the virtual training center, between the 8-step and where the text messages are, you're going to see video clips that they've pulled out of these calls and posted some of the most critical coaching sessions on there for you to be able to go back. That's why it's so important for you to make this a workbook that you're constantly going back and referring to. It's not just a one-stop shop where you go in one time, go in and go out. All right. Carlos, this one is to you. We'll do 2 more questions and then we'll draw, and then we'll do some money because we're coming up to the 11:30 hour here. Carlos, can you have Carlos go through his response? I want to think about it. So could you just do a recap of that?
Okay. So of course there's the walk away, right? And again, if you have the client Now, again, and I always want to keep stressing this part. Only if you've done a good job at creating rapport, building value, does any of this stuff work. If you're weak in that area, it doesn't matter what you say, right? Then that's going to go to what Connor said, where people are just trying to be polite and tell you they want to think about it. Okay. So I always assume because I know I've done the proper job to get where I'm at, I always assume that the client is just glitching and they just can't make a decision, right? Don't know which one to pick. So, that's the only time that the walk away works, right? And it works, I want to say 98% of the time. The second one I talked about was you can think about it all you want, right? And what that does, it stuns them right out of the gate, because people are expecting you to give resistance on what they're saying. I'm going to tell them I'm going to think about it, and their anxiety, right? And he's going to say, you need to take this today and blah, blah, blah. Instead, I say, you know what? You can think about this all you want. So right in that second, they're thinking, what? No, you're supposed to tell me I got to buy it, right? So they're conflicting with their own mind because I'm agreeing with what they're saying, right? So you're never going to go against a client. You're always going to agree with them. So I'm saying, Connor, you can think about this all you want, man. But you know what? I'm going to be transparent with you. You're probably not going to make it. If you can't make a decision today when you have the most important and relevant information in front of you, knowing that you guys need this, that you have gaps in your current plan, you're not going to make that decision because of human nature, right? You're going to put it on the back burner with all the intentions of wanting to think about it, but what's going to happen, right? Kids got to go to school, they got to go to practice, they got games you got to show up to, the water furnace goes out, life goes on. It's just like it does for all of us. Next thing you know, it just doesn't become important anymore until you need it, right? So I can't ever go back in time and put something in place for you, Connor. So if it's just a matter of budget, then let's at least do option 3, get you started with coverage today so we know your family is protected. Key words, right? Today, we know your family is protected. They have coverage. Because we already talked about this, Connor. When I asked your wife earlier, if Connor didn't come back home and walk through that door tomorrow, what's that going to look like for you income-wise? Right? And that's, again, the importance of asking those things during the presentation. And he's like, oh, yeah. So let's at least start with option 3 today. Other than that, you can do whatever you want. So I took it back away again. And then that's when they usually go, all right, well, let's go ahead and do option 1 or option 2. They'll upgrade themselves. But you just have to break, it's called a paradigm shift. You have to shift their way of thinking. Okay. Hope that helps.
Yeah, big help. And guys, we've got a ton more questions. We're just unfortunately, I'm sorry, I took up too much time. We're not going to be able to answer all the questions today, but let's get to, let's see here. We'll do one more question and then we'll draw some money. So, and I'll throw this question out to each of the coaches. It's how many leads a week are each of you guys working? So we'll start with Nick, then we'll go to Connor and then Carlos. And what type? How many and what type?
So mine's been a progression. So when I first started, I was on 25 a week. And then when my skill set developed, I was like, man, I can do more. So I bumped it to, it was 20 week. And then I bumped it. I had 20 in North Alabama. Not even my home state. I'm in Georgia. So you can work other states and you're good. So 20 in North Alabama. And then I bumped it to 35 a week, 15 across from Panama City all the way to Palm Coast, Florida. So that was at 35. And then 2 weeks ago, I talked to Miss Jackie and I bumped it up 5 more to 40. I may bump it up next week to 45. So because here's the thing, what's taking place, guys, is it's the math deal that Barry talks about. Once you understand this business, the business just becomes simple math. My goal was 15. It was 5 to 7 grand, right, Connor? When I went up and saw you, I was like, can you write 5 to 7 grand a week? And then I started hitting 10. I was like, man, my goal is 10 a week. And it immediately went to 15. Now with this texting, guys, 17.5, 20 grand. I really feel like that's what it can be because I'm willing to put in the time. I'm willing to book the appointments, but you got to have the leads to do it. So right now I'm on 48 leads a week. So it's just activity, guys. That's the thing is having the amount of leads to get into contact with.
Connor?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, I've said it on conference calls for years. I mean, I have my order set up. I mean, if they all come in, I mean, I don't even know what the number is, maybe 60, but I mean, I normally get 25 to 35. And just make sure you guys, I don't love lead questions, but make sure on this, because I don't know if the other coaches are thinking this, but just because we've done this coaching call, even before everybody else came on, whenever you ask that question, you need to realize, again, all of the top people that do what we do invest more money than new people, okay? You have to have a proper investment. So if you're asking that question, trying to be almost condescending, saying, oh, well, that's why I'm not doing as well because I'm on B and C leagues, we're paying for efficiency, okay? But you guys also need to realize you're never going to have success like Nick Burns or like Carlos Bastardo if you do not get your investment up. Okay, so take that as a positive. You need to realize, though, again, we talked about that 8-step guide up. If you also don't have the investment into purchasing your clients, you're never going to have success in this business. So if you're scared of spending that kind of money on leads, you need to set yourself up with cash flow, working B and C leads, but you have to get to that point in your business. If I don't have $1,000 come out of weekend leads, I am frustrated, I'm upset, and I'm scared for my business. So just had to share that.
Great point, man. Doesn't matter about the type or the amount. It matters what you're investing into it, because that's going to directly relay to the result at the end of the week, right? We B and C leads are starting points so we can be efficient with our time and do less activity to get the people in the appointments. But once you get the appointment, an A lead and a D lead, they're all the same because people are people. But the leaders that are leading this call, they're on A leads. I guarantee you a lot of them probably supplement with B and C leads if it's in the county because it's profitability. Carlos, what say you?
What say me? I do about 30 A leads a week right now, 30 to 35, depending upon the flow of leads that comes in. And then I've been buying, since we're doing the texting deal now, 30 B leads on top of that. And, here is the thing, right? This has changed the game. Again, right now, guys, we are in the 4-minute mile. We are in the 4-minute mile, right? Because we're seeing numbers coming up right now. Where Nick and was it Nicole that wrote 11,000 in one day this week, right? This is the 4-minute mile. People are saying that and going, oh my God, that we can't do that. There's no, guys, 4-minute mile. Here within the next couple of months, I see somebody breaking 20,000 in a day. Right? Nobody thinks right now, that can be done. But it's going to happen. You mark my words, you watch, it's going to happen, right? But it all comes down to the activity. So where the game has really changed, it don't matter what kind of leads you have now as long as you're getting those texts out. Because like Nick said, they got to sit there and marinate for a while, right? I've had some of my best appointments come out of people that didn't respond to my text until after 3 times. So as long as you're getting the text out there and doing a consistent ritual, right, you're going to win. The numbers are going to be in your favor. So I spent this week, I figured it out, about $1,600 in lead costs, and my profit was over $8,500. I don't know about you guys, but in any business category in the world, I call that a freaking win.
Any day, all day, every day. Love it. All right, guys. Hey, it's been a great call. Thank you, coaches, for your time. Let's get ready to give away some money. But before we do that, let me just throw out a quick reminder. Hey, look, in this brand new world that we've got of virtual and everything that we're doing technology, we probably just apparently there has been be cognizant of your video. And if you're in an area where you're moving or you're in an area where you probably wouldn't want us to see what's going on, just make sure that you turn the video off. So, okay, we're going to toss this over to Heather so we can give away some money.
Here we go.
Drum roll.
Ooh, I know this person's on. Let me double check.
Who's it going to be today?
George. $500. Woohoo!
George, congratulations, George. $500. We're going to turn that into a couple thousand, right? Awesome.
Awesome. Let us know. Make sure you post on the Facebook page and let us know how you do with that. Congratulations.
Congratulations, George. Okay, thank you again for your coach to all the coaches today. Thank you to Equus Financial for giving out this $500 every day of the week. We really appreciate that. That's huge. It helps all of our businesses. And you guys go have an incredible weekend, and we'll see you Monday.